Alright guys, in this video we're going to take a look at the Lowrance Hook Reveal, and we're on its namesake page, which is the FishReveal feature that everybody really loves on the Lowrance products, an exclusive feature to them. We're going to go through the sonar setup and transducer options in this video for these units. Alright, now we're going to talk about the transducers available for these Hook Reveal units. So first off, the high-end transducer here is the triple shot transducer, which comes in about 10 inches long. It's going to give you single frequency high chirp as well as DownScan and SideScan, and will work with FishReveal. The next transducer is the split shot, second most common, same features. The only difference with this one here is it's not going to give you SideScan, and it's quite a bit smaller because of that. One thing I do want to say about this transducer though is it is by far the best transducer design I've ever seen for a freshwater transducer, and Lowrance nailed it with this one. Just wish they did it with the HDI transducer we're going to see in a minute. As you can see, this flat piece here is designed to mount to the bottom of a trolling motor. You've got two hose clamp straps that you can put through there to mount this to the bottom of the trolling motor, or you can attach the transom bracket here. Also has a very flat bottom, so if you were to epoxy this inside a hull to shoot through the fiberglass, it would work as well. By far the best designed transducer I've ever seen, so good job for Lowrance for doing that. This next one here is one up from the split shot. It is the medium-high HDI transducer. This will give you medium-high chirp. It will give you 200 kilohertz, 83 kilohertz, and their downscan imaging, and of course FishReveal. So you get the dual frequency capability with this one. Probably one of the best transducers sonar-wise Lowrance has ever made, especially to be mounted on the trolling motor. They do have a nice transducer mount for it to go on the trolling motor, and it also comes with the transom mount kit as well. This one here, same thing, another dual frequency, but as you can see, it's larger than the last HDI transducer we looked at. It has a much larger mount that's already integral to the transducer, a much bigger transducer mount. It's actually a two-piece mount. This is now a dual frequency 50 kilohertz or low-high transducer. So this is best suited for salt water, possibly even for Great Lakes use if you were trolling, if you were downrigging, but again, I think there's better units to purchase if you're going to be doing that. So there's a rundown on the different transducers that are available. So if you want side scan, it's the triple shot. I will give you a tip too. If you do have an active imaging 3-in-1 transducer, you can get an adapter to allow that to work. So that would give you even better side scan than the triple shot would. Now before we get into the FishReveal feature, we're going to hit the pages key. We're going to just select the traditional sonar, and I'm going to show you some setup on that. So as you can see, when we came from the FishReveal to this, we have quite a bit less detail on this screen. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our menu, and one thing you'll notice with the Hook Reveal, or even if you have the older Hook 2 models, which these videos pertain to as well, there's not much in the menu, okay? Typically we would have a whole bunch of options down here. These are designed to be used in automatic mode, and they do a fairly good job of that, but there are some tweaks you can do to them to get better performance out of it. So if you're the person who's bought a Hook Reveal unit and you're happy with it, but you kind of want something better, you may not need to get something better, you may just need to tweak the unit, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So our different modes here, we can hit enter on that because it was selected. Auto, the unit's computer takes care of everything. If we go to custom, well now we have some more menu options there that we can change and adjust to give us the best possible image. So first one is our depth range. This is our depth range here, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. If we go below 30 feet, that's going to obviously not show us bottom. If we come up to 10 feet, we're not going to see enough of the water column, so that needs to change. Set to auto, it will automatically adjust that even in the custom mode. If you like, you can turn auto off. It's by going all the way to the bottom here, unfortunately. And then we can select the range that we want to view. So let's say we wanted to see if there was a double echo and we were on a hard bottom, we can select a deeper range than we're on and see that hard bottom. Or if we want to see what the water in the water column in great detail, we can select a shallower range. You can also come down here and select custom range. So upper and lower limits. This is great if you do a lot of trolling and downrigging. You want to just key in on a certain portion of the water column. You can, rather than have the upper limit at 0, you can set that to whatever you like. And same thing on the bottom. To do that, you just press enter. You use the right arrow key to change the number you want to change, and then come into the number pad and set that number. So I'm just going to leave this in auto And actually, I think I just learned something there. If you go up to the top, it'll actually come up on the bottom. So yeah, you can get to these two a little bit quicker by going to the top, not scrolling through all of them. So that's a trick I just learned. Frequency here, we have a few different options. This is going to be dependent on what transducer you have connected. So if you bought the unit with the split shot or triple shot transducer, you're going to have high chirp and 200 kilohertz. If you bought the one with the HDI transducer, that's 83 kilohertz, you'll have medium chirp and 83 in addition to 200 and high. If you bought the 50 kilohertz transducer, that's HDI, you'll have 250, high chirp, and low chirp. So it all depends on what transducer you have to what option you're going to get. Now our sensitivity, again, that is set to auto, so we can leave that in auto, but if we're finding it's showing too much information, we can drop it down. It's still going to remain in auto, but it's going to do -7% to what the automatic mode thinks it needs. So now we're at 0, the auto is doing it all on its own. If we want to see more information than the auto is showing us, we can turn that up as well. Then if we want to turn auto completely off, we can hit enter, come down here, and now we're manually in control of our sensitivity. And you can see you just toggle between the two, hit enter on the one you want to adjust, and then you can put that wherever you like. Again, I'm going to leave auto on in this case. I personally would recommend setting the depth range in manual and the sensitivity in manual, but it does require a lot more work throughout the day to keep adjusting that as you change conditions. But it will give you the best possible image. Come down to advanced next. Our ping speed is the rate that our transducer sends the signal out, and it looks like we have 20 levels of adjustment there. I would leave that on max in all circumstances. Scroll speed, you can leave that on normal or 2 times I like. It will give you a little bit faster update rate, but less detail. Anything faster than that, really the only time I would use something this fast is when my boat's on plane and I want to keep up, have the sonar keep up with it. Keeping that scroll rate up will help you with that. I really see no need to turn it down, and as you can see how little the adjustment is from normal compared to when we can speed up. There's definitely more application to speeding up. I would not go anything below normal in any circumstance. Noise rejection here, we can turn it off or we can turn it up to high or lower medium. The more electrical interference you have on your screen, the more you may need to turn this on. However, it will also diminish quality. So I would keep that as low as possible. Off is best. Now surface clarity, this is a feature that Lowrance has up here. Any wave action or any other turbulence, you'll sometimes pick up in the top water column there. We can change those as well. And in the demo, it's not doing anything, but you will see that diminish. That can hinder fish detection a little bit, but Lowrance has actually really done a good job of how their surface clarity works. So I would probably recommend leaving that on low. And then our last adjustment here is our color line. My preference in shallower water is somewhere between 64, up to the probably 80 at most. And you can see as I adjust it, it's the intensity of the color. And what that's going to do for you is tell you the bottom hardness. So you want to kind of keep it consistent. As you can see here, where we came into this little rock area, we have a more intense yellow that's indicating a harder bottom. Then on this drop here, we lose that yellow, so it's a softer bottom. And you'll see again as we come into bottom structure, that yellow getting a little bit more intense as well. If you get to the point where you don't like what your sonar is showing you, you can just hit restore defaults. Everything goes back to the way it came from the factory, right from the screen, and it'll give you a nice good image. So play around with those features if you're not happy with the auto mode, and you may be able to get a little bit more out of it. But like I say, Lowrance has done a good job on the auto mode. Now, no matter what mode you're in up here, we'll just talk about ice fishing for a little bit as well. It does automatically turn on the amplitude scope when you go into ice fishing, which is like a traditional flasher. And I'm sure there's some other tweaks behind the scenes as well. Come down here to more options, and what I was getting at is that more options is available no matter what mode you're in. So we can do split, we can do split zoom. So this bar here is now zoomed in over here. We can also plus or minus that to zoom in or zoom out, depending on how much detail we want on the bottom. The next option we have is bottom lock zoom, where it will lock right on the bottom, whatever that reading is. And again, you can zoom in or zoom out on the bottom. And then kind of nice thing there is it will give you increments above the bottom, how far off a fish is off the bottom, for example. And then there's flasher mode. Again, this is more for ice fishing. Even for ice fishing, I don't recommend using this. I would recommend, if anything, using that amplitude scope. But best, what I've always found for ice fishing is the bottom lock zoom, because that locks you in on the bottom and you can just zoom in or zoom out as you need to give you the most information. Now the A scope we can also turn on, and this is how I would set my unit up for ice fishing. I'd have the amplitude scope, I'd have my traditional sonar, and then I would have my bottom lock zoom. We have different color palettes in here as well. This is a personal preference thing, you know, whatever you like. There's no right or wrong. My favorites, just for what it's worth, is the top one. I personally would not change it from anything else. Some people who do fish a lot of saltwater like this color palette here. However, if you're buying this unit for saltwater, you probably bought the wrong unit. Fish ID, please do not turn this on. This will show up fish symbols, which is extremely inaccurate. This does not show you fish. This will only show you an object suspended in the water that the unit interprets as a fish. It cannot tell you it's a fish or not. And even worse than turning that on is the fish ID beeps, where it will beep every time one of these fish come through. This is not a feature you need. They need to take this out of their units. I don't know why they have it in here. My rant's over. And then overlay DownScan. This feature here is completely useless on this unit, but they have it in here anyway. And the reason I say it's useless is this is the opposite of FishReveal. So it's basically taking the DownScan image, putting it on top of the sonar image rather than the other way around, which is what the FishReveal does. And then we have DownScan options down here, which rather than doing this in here, let's go to our DownScan page. Now what we have, rather than the DownScan overlaid on top of the fish finder, FishReveal is turned on right now. So we have our fish finder, which is showing everything in our water column, which are the arches, overlaid almost on top of the DownScan, but anything on the bottom is all DownScan, and then all the structure in here is all DownScan as well. The fish finding portion of it, or the 2D sonar, is going to give you the best for finding suspended targets, like fish, or marking your lure, whereas the DownScan is going to show you structure in the best detail on the bottom or suspended. So they've combined both into one screen so you don't have to do split screens. So don't use DownScan overlay, use FishReveal. So in here, our menu options, again, when we come in here, it's exactly the same. We have our mode. We're going to change that to custom just so we can adjust things. Depth range is the same. Frequency, you have 800 or 455. Again, I believe this is dependent on your transducer. 455 will give you greater coverage. 800 will give you greater detail. Contrast is like our sensitivity. Won't go into adjusting auto or the auto bias or manual. Again, it's exactly the same as sensitivity. You can do that, and it will give you it'll adjust the DownScan portion of this. So I'll leave it on auto. We can come into advanced, and then we have surface clarity. We don't have noise rejection because it's not really something that you run into with the DownScan as much as traditional sonar. And then in more options, we can toggle FishReveal on or off in here. So if we did not want to see fish arches, we just wanted to see the DownScan, that's where we would turn that on or off. But I like it. I'm going to turn it back on. We have range lines. This is something that can be sometimes helpful just so you get an idea at what depth your lure's at or a fish is at. Or even if you're ice fishing, sometimes this can be helpful to have it on, or vertically jigging. You can see how far up fish will travel to chase your bait, or how far up you can pull fish off the bottom. And sometimes there's a point where those fish just don't want to go any higher. So these range rings can kind of help you with that. You can focus your presentation below that depth. Our sonar palettes here, again, these are personal preference. I like this one the best. This one here also, number 9, the blue is a good one. This one's not bad either. The only ones I'm not really a fan of are these greens, these more intense ones, and then the grays. It's just personal preference, nothing wrong. Personally, I like this one the best. Our FishReveal options, here's where we can go in and adjust our sensitivity for the sonar portion of it. We can change those like we've already done. The color palette, I would recommend playing around with the color palettes when you're on FishReveal, and this is just to see which one you like the best for how the two colors mesh together. And again, no right or wrong, whatever you like. All right, so one page you're gonna see that's missing here is SideScan. And that's because this particular unit is a SS model, which it does not come with SideScan. So you would need an optional transducer for that. For the sake of this demo, I'm gonna go into settings, I'm gonna go to system, I'm gonna come all the way down here to advanced, features, and I'm gonna turn on structure scan, which will give us the SideScan option in the menu here now. So now you can see SideScan. We'll go in and take a look at that and how that's all set up. And just to orient you, we have the boat right here. This is to the right 100 feet. This is to the left. This is the water column below the boat, and then this is structure laying out. So it's like a bird flying over, looking down on each side of your unit. If we hit our menu key, we're in the custom mode. Again, this does have an auto mode. We have auto and custom in this case. You don't use this for ice fishing, so you wouldn't have that option in there. Range is gonna, rather than go from up and down, it's gonna go left to right, so we can increase that range or we can decrease that range, whatever we prefer, or leave it in auto. Frequency again is the same as DownScan. 455 looks further away, 800 gives you better detail. Contrast, again, same as DownScan. We can adjust that however we see fit. Our advanced settings, we have surface clarity, so that would then take care of this line in the center here if we turn that up, if we're getting a lot of surface clutter. Restore defaults, if we don't like what we've done, again, we have that restore defaults. More options here. Now we can flip the image left or right. So when you first get your unit, you install it on your boat. Depending on how you orient your transducer and depending on which transducer you have, some objects that are actually to the right of the boat may be showing up on the left of the side scan. And the easiest way to determine this is just drive by the boat ramp at 90 degrees to the boat ramp and see which side it shows up on. If it's actually to your right, but it's showing up on the left, you need to enable that feature. If everything's fine, it shows up on the right, don't worry about it. Then we have range lines. Again, this is just like DownScan. It shows you how far away a piece of structure is from you. Then we have our color palettes. Again, same type of thing. My favorites are exactly the same as what my favorites are in the DownScan. View left, right. View left, view right, you can do whatever you want there. So if you're going down a bank that's to your right, this may be something that you want to use, whereas you don't need to see the left side in that case. But typically you'll just about always want to start off on left and right together. So those are the basic setups on the screens. If we come to settings, you will see sonar in here as well. This, you can log your sonar, but we can also access that right here from the power button, so it's much easier to do that. We can go in and view our sonar logs. If we have any, we can play those back. In here, we can select the type of transducer we have. So there's quite a few different transducers you can use with this. The unit should auto detect what's plugged in, but if for some reason it's not, you can manually select that in here. Generic is if you don't know what you have, but you know the frequencies, select that one, but try and get exactly what you have, whether it's a total scan, HDI, an active imaging, or the triple shot or split shot. Try and select them properly because that will limit the amount of options you have in the menu specific to the transducer that's plugged in. Keep in mind that MH and LH, that means medium high and low high. Those are the different types of transducer frequencies that are available in the CHIRP options. You have depth offset here too. So let's say you have a scenario where you have something deeper on your hull than your transducer is mounted. A sailboat with a keel is probably one of the only examples, or maybe an aluminum boat where the transducer is mounted up about a foot higher than the actual keel of that boat. You can set that offset to whatever that number may be. So if you want to set it to 1 foot, if you're in 5 foot of water, it'll read 6 foot of water. And you can change that to negative as well. So whatever you need to do, you can do that in there. Then you have your water temperature offset as well, which really only need to go into if you're noticing any problems. As far as your different sonar setups go, that's basically all you need to worry about on these Hook Reveal units. They're extremely easy to use, extremely easy to set up. There's not too much you have to play with. So hopefully this video helped you out with your particular unit. And if it did, if you just stumbled across this video, take a look at the whole series. There's a playlist link in the description, or use the recommended playlist on YouTube to find the next video in the series, which is going to be GPS settings. Thanks for watching, and as always, like and subscribe to the videos. Be sure to share them with a friend who might find this video helpful.